Well, that's his. Oh,
Good.
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Well, that's as low as it can be, and I apologize. I apologize to our guys. To not be ready, to not have them ready. I'm dumbfounded in a lot of ways, but that's my job. And this is a game we've been talking about since January, and I've been doing a lot of things to make sure we were ready and prepared, and obviously we were not. First quarter was as bad as we could be, with obviously 3 turnovers and just not ability to overcome those things, even defensively, put us in a really, really tough situation, and we never got our head out of above water after that. And so, I mean, it is a challenge right now. This is no place I've ever been, but I don't know where else there is to go. So, those faces in that locker room, it wasn't from like I told you before, it wasn't from a lack of, something that happened on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. We knew it was going to be an emotional game, and we made a bonehead move even before the game started, which is undisciplined. But it was something that emotionally we knew we had to be ready for, and we were not. So I'm crushed, disappointed in myself and in our team. But we got one thing to do, and we got to keep swinging. So ask me the questions you need to ask me.
When we talk about not being prepared, what do you think it was about just the fire that seemed like Iowa came out with, and then you guys weren't able to really respond right away?
Well, it's not like something that we didn't know they were going to do. And that's the whole message all week was don't be surprised. And really it was don't be surprised that they don't do anything that they haven't done other than play really physical and really tough. And I can't explain why they were surprised. And we made really poor decisions and made some pretty good plays, obviously, early on. And that's not a team that can overcome those things. We cannot put ourselves in those positions, in those situations, and have any chance to be able to recover, both offensively, defensively, and as a whole group. So I'd love to be able to tell you why. I mean, it's not like we haven't been talking about this since January. It's not like we didn't do something every day in spring ball. But we didn't do it tonight.
Jesse. You mentioned this group spent the entire offseason focusing on this game. Obviously, what happened here, I know it's hard to have any answers right now, but what does this say about where this program is and how you get them to maybe take in your messages in a way that shows so?
And that's my job. I'm still pounding away at it. And, that's like I said, I had a good feeling that we were going to play well tonight, and I didn't know exactly what that meant. And again, it was going to be a battle, and want to get ourselves in a position where we could grow. And from the very get-go, we did not. And I don't know. My messages haven't changed. That could be an issue. But it's not like we haven't, like I said, it's not like this hasn't been something that from the start of January and February and March and April and fall camp, that we were going to be surprised at the way this game was going to be played. And I don't mean how it went, but how it was going to be played. Really tough and really physical, and we did not answer it.
Hunter Simmons with the 3 turnovers, 8 for 21. Was there any thought to going to Danny O'Neal, and what was it about Hunter that?
We were reeling on both sides, so it wasn't something I went in at halftime and said, what's the opportunity, what's the chances here? Where we were at and what we needed to be able to do, we still felt like, there were some things there, and he gave us the best chance. I'm not saying after the first 3 picks in the first quarter that he didn't maybe settle down a little bit, but we were just never able to, to find anything down the field, to create any energy or any momentum or establish any drive. And so you're probably right. I mean, it's something that we got to take a good hard look at. And, no disrespect to Hunter, but, probably was an opportunity or some situation where we should have went the other direction.
It seems like you think a breakthrough is around the corner. That's at least what my understanding was. Is it time to admit that
It's a hope.
this is going? Is this kind of, this is gonna be a longer, no easy fix, I guess?
There is no such thing as an easy fix, I guess, right? I mean, I don't know. This is not going to be an easy fix. Pound the rock is the idea of something has to break at some point in time. And I'm not going to say I thought tonight was an opportunity for that, but every night, every Saturday is an opportunity for that. And it did not happen today. It did not happen tonight. And this was one that kind of metaphorically pound the rock, be physical, be tough, do those things and see some things change and happen. And, again, from the start, it put us in a really tough position. And not that you can go back and change it, but I'd be, hope and believe that had that not started the way it did with, the turnovers, at least it would have been a hell of a lot different game. And I'm not saying that they're not a better team than we are. I'm not saying that we're a better team than they are. It's not fair that we weren't able to at least, put ourselves in a position where we can make it a damn football game. And when you have the mistakes that you have in the first 7 minutes of the game, we're not the kind of team that can come back from that right now. So, yeah.
I think, I'm sure with 9 straight losses now to Power 4 competition, there's a lot of existential questions regarding, can you do this here at Wisconsin, and maybe even internally we wonder at times too. But what do you say to the big picture right now, knowing especially what's coming the rest of your schedule, and whether or not this can be done under your watch?
Well, there's nothing I can say out here publicly that is any different. What matters is what's said in that room. And I don't, I don't fault you for asking. I don't think people should think anything different. But the truth of the matter is this is not an easy fix, and we've got a hell of a long way to go. And there's only one way to go, and it's through it, and it's to go up. And I know this, that I've never been in this position, but I've grown up in a way that, I don't want to refer back to wrestling like I have in the past, but you get some ass whoopings, and at some point in time, you figure out whether this is you're tired of it, sick of it, or you're not. And that's where we are as a program and as a team. And we got to figure out that we're tired of it, and find a way to make sure we're going to be able to fight back, because that's what I'm going to do. Whether it's not good enough, whether it's not enough, that's for somebody else to make a decision on. I know this. I told those guys in that locker room that, you're not going to get anything different from me. You're going to get more from me. And if that's not what you want, then this is not going to be a place that you're going to be able to handle. And I'm not saying I'm going to lose my mind and start, but the ability to say, hey, if you don't compete, if we don't compete, none of us are going to be here. And that's, there's nothing wrong. That's the truth, but by all the other noises outside, there's nothing else I can do. I can make sure that every single day that my ass is going to fight, those guys are going to see a fight. They're either going to follow, or it's going to get really thin really quick.
Look, I'm not trying to pin all the hopes on him, but do you know where you're at in terms of where Billy Edwards might be in terms of return to the field?
No, I really don't. I have 6 minutes left in the game. 5 minutes left in the game, stood down there with him. Just trying to pick his brain a little bit to see, where he is. And I don't really know. And, we'll figure it out. But I'm sure that him in some ways, he wants to see some positives too. And I know that he can make a difference. That's some of those things that we just got to find a way. That's maybe one of those sparks that can help. But I don't know. I don't have a I don't have a good indication on when exactly he's going to be available. Is he going to be available at 85%? Is he going to be available at 90%? I mean, I can surely tell you that their quarterback wasn't available at 100%. I'm not saying what the injuries are. We're just going to have to figure that out. But I don't know.
Coach, in the past, you made a coaching change when things were necessary. Is this the time in the season where you have to start evaluating things like that?
I mean, everything's being evaluated. I mean, I got to look at myself before I can look at anybody else, So, no. I mean, it's like the same thing in the locker room. Hindsight, I don't know that was ever a great decision. It wasn't for coaching. It was for some different reasons. But where we are, it's not like we can start giving in on each other. And I think that's the most important thing. We got the right people, meaning, doing what we need to do. We just got to do it a hell of a lot better. And like I said, there is no easy, quick fix. Okay, all of a sudden we, switch somebody up or do something different. It's going to make a complete and total difference. No, this is something that has to be done very consistently and with a hell of a lot of people as opposed to just one person.
Luke, I know you mentioned that this is new territory for you. There's a lot moving fast, but what is step one in this process in terms of, again, you mentioned a little bit of self-evaluation. Is it talk with your staff? Is it talk with the locker room? What's, again, step one after
I don't know. I think that's going to have to be something I got to think about tonight. There's a lot of step ones, unfortunately, in my head right now. Step one is making sure that we find the guys that are going to compete, to find the guys that are going to fight, find the guys that are going to ride right along with you. And, it's hard to figure that out sometimes, but when you press play on the tapes, it's not nearly as hard. And so we have to do a better job of figuring out which ones those are. If those are really young guys, then we're going to have to do some things that only really young guys can do. But as of right now, there's a lot of step ones. I think step one is not giving in on each other, start making some hasteful decisions, especially decisions, at this moment for me in a lot of ways, because this is a really emotional time right now.
Yeah. You're talking a lot about competitive spirit ahead of this, and then you have I think it's 3 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. What were your thoughts on that, and how can you coach to avoid some of those unforced?
Well, I don't know all 3. The first one, stupid as we start the game. That is as undisciplined as there is. There's no such thing as that's not a competitive spirit. The other 2, I'm not sure. I know
One is offsetting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know as much about that. I mean, that's those ones. I mean, to be honest with you, in the midst of a game, but I'm not overly concerned. Retaliations of things. Daryl Peterson got one on, stupid, undisciplined decision. That we can't have. I mean, those are things that, where do you start at? I mean, those are things that you can start to see when some of your better people, do things that are out of character. You're seeing a frustration settle in, and that can't be something that we allow to happen, because that's not going to get us where we're going to get. That's not the competitive spirit we're talking about. That's not the tough and nasty ideas that we want. That's cheap and dirty, and that's not where we want to go.
Luke, this might be an unfair question right now, but do you think you guys are in a better position now as a program than you took over?
It's in a better position. No, I mean, right this second, we're not feeling real good. I could dig deep into it. I could say that I think, incrementally we've gotten better talent in some ways. But it's tough to evaluate right now. I think the deficiencies, the injuries, and I'm not making excuses, but where we are on the offensive line and where we are at quarterback, make it really difficult to answer that question, I think, in the best way possible. But I do believe as we started, fall camp, I would tell you that we were in a better place. And I think incrementally we had gotten better in most positions. And I would also tell you that I think a lot of other people have gotten incrementally a hell of a lot better as well. And so what that has done is put us still in the position where, no, we're not better than most of the people, or maybe anybody right now that we're playing.
Anybody else?